Thank you so much for being here. So a very, very, very warm welcome from the Product Book Club. And today we are crushing the ninth week out of our 52 weeks. So today we will be reviewing value proposition design in the 10 by 30 format. So if you are a product maker, then you cannot miss this. If you want to check out the schedule of what we have for the 52 weeks, then pretty much it's available in our website. And if you want to catch up on all the past recordings of the review, not the discussions, it's going to be here in our YouTube. Even today's will be there in the YouTube. It sounds the discussion. And our LinkedIn page keeps updating you on what books we are reviewing. And our website keeps telling you like what are the various updates that we are going week after week. And we thought we will close the book club for this year, but there is so much of interest, so we kept it open. So every week on Monday, if you want some of your friends are excited about it, please do tell them that there is a waiting list. Ask them to just join so that we add them to the club every Monday. So this week we are doing value proposition design. The next 2 weeks also I will update so that you know what's coming and you can plan your week accordingly. Next week is hooked. If you want to know how to build habit forming products, then you can't miss next week as well. And the prequel of today is business model generation, and that's going to happen on 16th October. And if you want to become a part of the review team, like how you see all our RS members, Rohit, Manjeet, and Gaurav, you can also join in the reading sprint for 2 weeks. The first week will be all about reading. The second week is all about reviewing. For you to learn how to, it's not just about reading, how to really synthesize everything that you have read. The reading sprint will help you. And we help you do it in a certain format, and that's 10 by 30. The 10 big ideas from the book, which is distilled under 30 minutes. Sometimes the books are very dense, so we go to 40 minutes. The best way to imbibe a book is to read by yourself. The second best way is to tune in into our 10 by 30. So today you're here, and without further ado, over to Sprinters, and we will be reviewing the value proposition design.
Hey, hi everyone. This is Gaurav here. As part of the product book club, we'll be reviewing value proposition design as mentioned by Karthi. This is the review team for now. Say hi to Manjeet, Rohit, and myself, Gaurav. And the next 30 minutes are important for you if you are a product manager, or maybe an aspiring product manager, or maybe someone who is a product designer and who is completely absorbed with all design tasks throughout the day, or maybe someone who is also a CEO sitting at the pool of the money. Someone who is a user researcher, someone who's an entrepreneur with empty pockets, maybe, or maybe with full pockets, someone who's in the customer support team, or someone who is a decision maker with any of those. Any decision maker who takes a decision about the product or value is something. Is if you're that person, maybe next 30 minutes are very important. Few questions before we begin, and you can keep on typing in your in the Zoom chat, yes or no, whatever the answer to the question is. Have you been in meetings where maybe you have just discussed product, technology, features, maybe just about UI designs, analytics and processes, but the whole customer part was missing from those meetings? Have you been in those meetings? Maybe. So I don't know if you just put it in a chat, yes or no. That will help us gauge if how much of the focus is already there. Yeah. Second question, maybe you're a designer, or maybe you're in the product team and you have been asked to deliver a mock-up or a Figma design in a day's time. But to implement just a font change, it takes about 2 months to deliver it. So have you been asked to deliver something just now that, okay, this is something which I expect and you are asked to deliver it? Or have you been part of those meetings, or in your entire current product structure, in a current business structure, does the leadership only care about the profitability of the product, just about the revenues, the margins, how much sales are happening, but the complete point of customer satisfaction scores or maybe the NPS is missing? No one is thinking about what the users are loving, etc. Is this something which happens in your current job or the current task which you do?
You got
Yeah.
yes, yes, and S.
Okay. Yeah. So as we saw that most of them are yeses, right? This is a key thing which keeps on happening, where the whole customer part maybe gets missed. So now this review or the next 30 minutes become more important for you, because this book talks about focusing on the customer and creating value from it. Even if you have not read the book, we will be presenting the 10 most important ideas from the book, which will help you with all the above questions and all the problems which you are facing in your current role. Uh, yeah. This book will help you with three things majorly: help you gain clarity on customer needs, minimize the risk of your products, and also give you a framework to check if you have anything missing. Just to take an example of pani puris, right? So pani puris can be sold at rupees 20 rupees or maybe at 200 rupees. Pani puris can have different flavors. They may be tikha, meetha, anything. Right? Pani puris can be sold roadside, or maybe they can be sold at haldirams. They can also be used to fill our stomachs before, like when we are hungry, or maybe after our stomachs, because we just want to satisfy our taste buds. But how does one decide the value which needs to be created out of this pani puri? Do I make it for different flavors? Do I sell it at the roadside? At what price should I sell? How do I understand the value which needs to be created when I'm maybe starting a pani puri business for myself? Uh, Starting with the idea number one, value proposition canvas, which this book value proposition design has the core of it. It tells that there is a value proposition canvas, which is a framework to help you get all the answers for value creation. Uh, it's not something which is like too much to think about. Just think about it in terms of a framework which can help you get answers for any value creation activity which you want to do. Before I start that, what is a value? What is value? As per Oxford, how much something is worth is value. In the last example which we saw, the pani puri price, that it should be 10 rupees or 100 rupees or 20 rupees or 200 rupees. That is the value. That is a monetary value of the pani puri product which is there. Now we know what is value. What is value proposition canvas? It is a framework to create that value. It is a framework which will tell me the pani puri I have to make and what is the worth of that pani puri. Very simple as that. In this idea, and since I'm talking about a canvas over here, a canvas, it's a simple blank sheet where you can do anything. Why a canvas here? It just gives me a layout or a structure in which I can talk about two main components of this value proposition design, which is the customer profile and a value map. Customer Let me just give you an understanding of what a customer profile is. A very basic understanding we'll be taking you through in the upcoming slides. A customer profile, let's just remember it as a circle as of now. A customer profile is a circle which describes a specific customer. And the second is a value map, which is a square. It describes the features of specific value proposition. So customer profile is a circle, it describes customers, and value map is a square which describes the features of a value proposition. And this is what the entire rectangle is called, the value proposition canvas. We will go into each of these in the next few slides. Moving on to the circle, right? What is customer profile? A customer profile is something which helps you understand your customers' jobs, pains, and gains, and not neglect any of these. So, what are these jobs, pains, and gains? Maybe just go through. And while we are going through this, you can just remember that each of jobs, pains, or gains, right? Jobs is something, a work which you do. Pain is something which you feel as a customer, a pain point for you. A gain is something which is a profit for you, which you get as a profit. Each of these can be of various types, and each of these have a scale associated with themselves. So let's take the example of a printer, right? Why do I use a printer? I use a printer to print a document, and I need it myself. It's a functional job of a printer to print a document. I can maybe use a printer to share a copy of the document with others. It's a social job which I am doing. I'm sharing it with others. It's a social job. I might just take a printout and stick it on my walls and just feel happy about the work I have done. Maybe my college degrees or anything. It's an emotional satisfaction, or it's an emotional job which the printer is doing for me. I can maybe use it to Xerox a document. All these machines also have a Xerox capability. It's a supporting job which the printer machine can help me enable it to. So if I just classify and I just collate everything together in one slide, the printer is helping me achieve 4 jobs. One is functional, social, personal and supporting jobs as well. On a scale, some of these jobs may be less important, while some of these jobs may be more important. While, for example, the printing the document is the most important thing for a printer. Let me see what are the problems which I face while using a printer. The paper gets stuck. It's an undesired outcome. I don't want it, but it happens. Like, a power failure occurs. It's an obstacle. I can't even use that printer which is there. And the printed document, let's say, gets lost. I printed it with the last document. Now it's lost. It's a risk which is there with the functionality of a printer. So if I collate everything together in one slide to just to say, the customer pain, the pain which I feel while facing a printer can be of three types. One is an undesired outcome of the paper getting stuck. Second is an obstacle of the electricity getting lost, and the third is a risk of the document getting lost itself. The second one was electricity failure. On the scale, some of these might be moderate risk, some of these might be an extreme risk which is there. What do I gain on using a printer? Like when I use it, what do I get? I get the document. That is the required gain, or the most important gain. Uh, the expected gain out of it, I get a printed document, but it should not have any blurriness. That is what I expect it to behave. The document is a colored printout. That's a desired gain. I did not think about it, but if it comes as a colored printout by itself, that is something which I will love. It's something which I desire to it. And it's 3D, right? I am just printing it, and it just I'm just printing an image of a document, and it just prints a 3D picture for it. It's an unexpected gain which I get out of using a printer. So again, if I talk about gains here, the gains can be of four types, as we saw. It's a required gain, the document; the expected gain, the clarity of the document; desired gain is the color in it; unexpected gain is getting the 3D version for it. Is getting a 3D version of a printout nice to have? Maybe, right? But is getting the exact document something which is required? Yes, it's something which is very essential. So on a scale, it is something which changes from nice to have essential. So if I summarize everything here, it's basically talking about understanding your customer, talking about the jobs which are there for a product or a service. What are the jobs which the customer is doing? It can be functional, social, personal, or supporting. It could be the customer pains. It could be of various types. And the circle then talks about the customer gains, which can be of various types.
Thank you, Gaurav. That was a very nice presentation about customer profile. Okay, have you ever faced this situation, guys? I've been in this situation with all my friends. Like, they were excited to go a plan. So they start sometime in November, but the end of the day, like when we are ready to start, we'll be left with only one or two people. So with this context, let's go to our next big idea, that is customer understanding. As we just saw, sometimes our friends won't do what they say. So imagine a customer doing what they say. So that's really difficult to understand the customer. So here is when you ask customer, what's your plan today? He says he wants to watch a movie. But then when he went back home, next slide, please. Yeah, here he says like, I want to watch a movie. When he went back home, he gets to know that it's his anniversary. Now, can you imagine the same picture again? Go to the next slide. So the context has changed, and he has ended up in a movie theater like this. So what has changed? His priorities, right? His priorities are changed based on the context. So the idea of understanding the customer is that we have to include the context as well along with the priorities, because whenever there is a change in the priority, whenever there is change in the context, the priority changes. So let us take assume a person here. He wants to go to a first floor. So which one do you think the customer will opt for? Probably elevator or escalator, but let's assume I'm an escalator manufacturer. I could have built a great product. It is safe and easy to use. but then this customer may not use it at all. He may go in an elevator or take stairs as well. Okay, the thing here is it's the same customer. The requirement is the same. He has to reach to first floor, but the solutions are different. Okay, let's look at some of the customer profiles which we should be considering before building the value proposition map. Here is the two kids playing. One kid is watching, and the left side kid is playing with his toys. Now he is actually influencing the kid on the right side. So if you have to understand the customer profile of influencer, the left side of the kid, left side person, the kid is actually the influencer here. Now the story goes like this. The next slide, the kid goes to a toy shop along with his father and cries for toys. Now the decision maker is the father here. So let's assume I'm a toy maker. I need to make sure that the value proposition that I am building is satisfying both the father as well as the kid. The toy should be equally exciting to the kid as well as it is equally affordable to the father as well. So each and every stakeholders we should be considering while we are building the value proposition. There are, in a B2B cases, there are many other stakeholders. You can dwell into that and then build all these value proposition for each stakeholder. Okay, now that we have this, let's understand the customer insights. Like even before you build something, you should understand the customer properly. Let's see how we do that. Here is a person who is trying to dwell into the data that is already available, and he is trying to analyze the data and get the data and to understand the customer. He is called as the data detective. There is another way of doing it, like the journalist who actually interviews the customer directly, gets the answers from them, and then analyze those answers. Unlike Arnab here, who doesn't allow anyone to answer as well. The next one is anthropologist. He is the one who observes the customer behavior in different scenarios and understands the customer. The next is impersonator. He is the one who actually gets into the shoes of a customer, tries his hands on the job to be done, and he understands himself like what are the pain points, what is the gain that customer wants. This is one way of getting the customer insights. The last one is co-creator. Okay. This is the process of including your customer in your analysis for value proposition. The co in the Coca-Cola here is nothing to do with the co-creator, but the picture here is because Coca-Cola has included the real customers to taste their drink before they actually launched something in India. So that is the co-creation technique that companies use to create a value proposition. Okay, having said that, once we understand the customer insights all about customer, let's understand the value map, the big idea for value map. Okay, let's take an example of the printer as a product itself, which Gaurav has set up. So the job to be done here is to get the to print the paper itself. It could be using computer, laptop, or mobile. Okay, out of all the jobs that customer wants to perform using the printer, the maker should understand which job is important and which one is nice to have. Like for example, printing the paper in the color is probably a must-have in these days, whereas printing using a voice, of course, it's nice to have, but not a necessary thing. The pain relievers. Using the printer to print 10 pages and it's stuck after every page. Imagine the situation. Okay, this is a big pain in old printers. If you want to build something, then it should run smooth without any jams. Then it should be a pain reliever as well. If you're printing, isn't just printing about really allows you to do a confidential print. So you have printing a pay slip and you forgot to actually go there and collect the print. So it should still stay in the queue, but it should not allow you to print and let your documents, into the wrong hands. So that is a gain that you get out of these printers. There are other things as well that you can consider as sending an email or scanning, like taking a photocopy. So all these things that, though the main function of printer is to print, but these could be a gain creators. Like you could choose a product based on these. I'll let you read this. Is your customer really excited about your value proposition? Let's check how to do that. Imagine an Eskimo is buying a refrigerator here. What an awesome salesman he is who have sold this to him. Okay, but is it a right fit? Probably not. Like, let's see what actually fit means. It should be able to answer 3 questions. Yes to these 3 questions. That is, are you addressing the important jobs? Yes. Are you alleviating the extreme pains? Yes. Are you able to create essential gains? Yes. If either of this is no, then it is not a good fit. Like what we saw in the Eskimo case. None of them, like it is not giving any job, important job to them for the Eskimos. So it is not a right fit. Let's understand what multiple fits is. Uh, let's take an example of an Uber. Uber is a platform that serves more than one stakeholders. It has both driver, rider, and also it has Uber Eats. So everyone has to, get value out of this. Then only the entire business model will work. So every product and customers should perfectly fit for a successful organization. Over to you, Rohit. Thank you.
Thank you, Manjeet and Gaurav. So, how many times does it happen that you have an idea in your mind and you are trying different things to get that idea from your mind to either a piece of paper or in a tangible form? That exactly is the process of designing. So if you want to define the process of designing, it's the way you convert your ideas into a value proposition prototype. It is designing is a continuous cycle of prototyping your idea, researching your customers, and based on the feedback, reshaping of the idea. So there are 2 different ways you can do that: push or the pull. So push is uh, push is actually you coming or getting to the value by using the technology or innovation in your process. So let's say if you if you, let's talk about the printer that we had, and if you want to design a printer that would print something by voice command. Now if you wanted to design a printer like that 20 years back, you would want everyone to have a mic. But how many people used to have a mic at their home 20 years back? So maybe that's not a very feasible idea. But these days, with the advent of mobile phone, almost everyone has at least 1 or 2 mobile phones, and everyone has a mic. So using this new technology, you can break or push the existing structure that you have, and you can create value. You can use use the technology or innovation into your design to create something new. On the other hand, when you are using the pull process, what you're doing is you are beginning with a manifest of jobs that are to be done, or gains or pains. So what you are trying to do is you are trying to focus on high value jobs that are important, that solve some pain, create some gain. They are tangible, and those jobs, unfulfillment of those jobs keeps the customer unsatisfied, and the job is lucrative, which means either a lot of people will pay some money, or some customers will pay a lot of money for that job. And that would be the process of pull. You take all this together and you create an idea. How do you spark different design ideas? You can spark ideas by researching your customers. Your customers could be past, present, or potential customers, or you can focus on the value proposition canvas that has been talked about, that was introduced by Gaurav and talked by both Gaurav and Manjeet. You can focus on either the profile or the value proposition that you have. You can focus on the key business model where you have partners, activities, value proposition, relationships, segments, resources, and channels. Or you can focus on the environment itself. It could be anything from economic environment to technology landscape to social environment to political environment and the law of the land, which is the legal environment. All of that will provide you an opportunity to design something new. Or you can get ideas from a different industry. Assembly line was created by Ford in the automotive industry, but these days you cannot imagine any other industry which doesn't incorporate uh, type of assembly line. Similarly, software industry on which most of us are focusing now is just 30, 40 years old, and it does incorporate a lot of ideas from different industries already. You can focus on the design constraints, what is not allowed by the existing system based on the law of the land or changing geographical landscape or the political environment, what exactly you couldn't design in the past but that you could design now. And focus by using reading books or magazines with the latest trend. You can browse, extract information, brainstorm, pitch the ideas, and get new ideas for your design. But in the end, it's all about focusing on the customer obsession. If you look at this 1999 interview of Jeff Bezos, he talks about customer more than 90 times in 3.5 minutes. And that's what shows you the focusing on the customer, their problems, their pains, and the gains that you can create. That drives and pays dividends in the future. And this takes us to something which I find very grateful when I do not know anything about a new prototype which I have to test. So prototyping. Why do we use prototype? Prototype allows us to very quickly, e- efficiently create some design models that are inexpensive. But these models or the prototypes have to be desirable, feasible, and last but not the least, viable solution for the customer in those specific environment. So a good prototype will be a combination of these two: quick, inexpensive, efficient, but at the same time desirable, feasible, and viable. We can look at different types of prototypes. So one very easy way to create a prototype is a napkin sketch. A napkin sketch gives you the end result of the idea that you have. It only shows you what the final product will look like and doesn't show you the inner workings of that specific idea. And then we have an ad lib. So you can use your ad lib to see how you are creating value and how your solution, your value is different from your customer. So you say our products and services or our printer helps customer segment who want to order a print by voice command and prints seamlessly, unlike, and then you talk about a printer by HP or Sony or any other company, right? So that also tells you very, very quickly how you are different, how you're creating value. And then again, the value proposition canvas, this will come again and again because how critical, how important it is. When you focus on the profile of the customer, the jobs that needs to be done, the pains and gains, and how your products and services, or the prototype in this case, will create gains and relieve pains, that is a prototype. And again, this is my favorite, a minimum viable product. Now, what we need to understand is a minimum viable product is not a piece of the final product. A minimum viable product is viable in itself, which means a minimum viable product has to work. It is not a piece of the final product. It is a very simple form of the final product, on which you can build. But in itself, the idea or the product has to be complete and it should work. There are different ways of prototyping processes. So you can do brainstorm, you can draw your idea, you can pitch your idea to a group or a person and see how look at the feedback and reshape your ideas. You can display your idea and get feedback. You can use democracy, which is getting the votes by the internal group on different internal criteria to see which idea has more value. And then again, you can create prototype. Now, testing and validation. Why do we do testing? So we do testing to make sure we know what will not work in real life. So we test the ideas and prototypes to make sure we avoid spending time, energy, money, resources on creating something, on working something that's not going to work. That's why testing is very, very critical. The customer discovery, which is nothing but you have to get out of your escape zone to figure out who the customers are, what are what exactly are they trying to get done, what are their pains and gains, and you can do the validation by running experiments and tests to see if the customers value the products and services that you are planning to create, and if those products and services will alleviate pains and create gains. And you can create a customer by building the end user demand. You can drive these customers to your sales channel and begin scaling the business. And finally, once you have done the discovery, you have validated the customer, you have created a customer, you can move from a temporary organization or a temporary product to build a company. Now this company uh, this company has a customer, it has channels, and you have already built. So this creates the whole ecosystem. What do you test? So you test a circle. So in when you are testing a circle, you are focusing on the customer profile, and you are checking which jobs, gains, and pains matters most to the customer. Isn't that what we saw and what Gaurav introduced in the very first idea? The customer jobs and pains and gains. That's the circle. Or you can test a square where you focus on the value map and you check which products, gain creators, or pain relievers matters most to the customer. And that's exactly what Gaurav talked about in the very first idea in the value proposition square. Or you can test a rectangle to see if there is a harmony or symphony between the value map and the customer profile. And that is exactly what we saw by the value proposition and the customer profile. The fit will create the harmony between these two that will drive your design, your testing, and your prototypes. You can also use an experiment library, which is nothing but a 2x2 metric. So what we do is we focus on what customers do and what customers say, and we all know those are not always the same thing. And we look at those things by direct contact with customers to learn why and how to improve, or indirect observation of customer to learn how many and how much in terms of our products and services. And that takes us to the big picture. So what is the big picture? So big picture is taking all the ideas that we had so far, where we start with the hypothesis and we end with the evidence. How do we do that? So we start with the hypothesis and we use this hypothesis to shape the idea. We use the idea to create a prototype, and then we test the prototype to validate the idea and the hypothesis. And if you see, there are feedback loops. If the prototype of the idea prototype doesn't work, then you go back and shape your idea. If the test of the prototype fails, then you go back to either the idea or the shaping of the idea. And if the validation fails, then you go back to the hypothesis and you run the whole thing again. You reiterate till you get the MVP. And that's what is MVP in itself works as an evidence.
You can create value, you can understand your customers, you can create the value, you can map both of it. But if the motive was maybe getting some money out of it, right, you need to make a business model around it, a business model around our value. Business model talks about that a successful value proposition should always fit in a business model, which otherwise the value, if the objective is like a business motive, the value proposition may not sustain for long. For example, Kodak, which filed for bankruptcy in 2012, helped invent a digital camera that crushed its own business model. Um, so it's like we keep on iterating from value proposition to business model and back again, etc. I'll just take an example of the current book club which we all are in. Is it delivering value? Is it serving the right value proposition to the customers who are here? Maybe for the initial set of customers, no, but for the ones who are continuing and the ones who are currently present in the call, maybe it is giving that value proposition. It has achieved that product solution fit where it is able to provide that value to all its consumers, to its target set of consumers. And when the context, as told by Manjeet, was learning about product and also building this reading journey. But if let's say the motive for someone who comes new, and the motive is also to maybe earn some money out of it or make it a business, make a business out of it. How can he transform this value proposition into a business model is something which he will not think about. But the first step was always the serving the value proposition. Now the thing is, now the next step would be generating a business model around it to achieve that product market fit. The whole concept of pricing, many other things will come into picture. There are various steps which can be done to find out what the business model is. Ultimately, we will try to map the value to a business model which can sustain and get some money or profits out of it.